Hey, what's up guys? This is TBone here. Welcome back to another episode of playing Gemstone Legends. So in today's video, I'm going to try something completely different, and that is a tournament of our legendary heroes in the game. And, you know, the reason I'm doing this is because there just really isn't a great list of hero tiers out there. A lot of people often ask, what is the tier list for the heroes? You know, where is it? And you know, I thought that would be fun to try something a little bit different to attempt to answer some of this, like who are the strong heroes in the game? Now, these things will always change depending on who you talk to and also if there's any changes in balance. So I thought that it would be a good idea to get this started and, you know, we'll just have some fun with it. Of course, this is going to be purely my personal opinion, so if you have different ideas and thoughts, you could always message me or comment down in the video below. Now, real quick about the rules of the tournament. There are a total of 84 legendary heroes, of which I did not include any astral heroes. They will never be included in these tournaments because it's just not fair to include them. And in tournament format, it's best if you can use numbers that are in powers of 2, like 2, 4, 8, etc., up to 64, 128. Because there are 84 heroes, I couldn't really have an even bracket, and so I just chopped off 20 of them. So the bottom 20 of the list, I've already removed from the list, and they're in the description so you can see who didn't make the cut. Top 64 are in the bracket now, and they've randomly been seeded against each other. And I'm just going to pick the winner of each of those pairings. And then they're going to move on to the next round. It's a double elimination tournament as well. So even if a really strong hero gets knocked out early, that hero still has a chance to come back and potentially even win the Grand Championship. So with that, let's get started with round 1. All right, so you can see here I've got the bracket created. I'm using a bracket generator. I'll have the link to if you wanted to learn more about it as well. And we're going to get started with this Yaga versus Brawdy. So the way this works is you're going to be able to see, you know, the people who are competing. And then I just choose who I think the winner is. So first it's going to be Yaga versus Brawdy. And without question, Brawdy is going to be the winner of the two because he is going to be your best farmer in the game, bar none. And he will allow you to go through rifts as quickly as possible, whereas Yaga just won't be able to do the same thing. So we're just going to pick Brawdy as the winner right here. So he will move on to the next round. Next, we have Zerfar versus Raphael. Zerfar is a hero that will, you know, cleanse, will remove a, I think he removes, but he definitely also will give you a defense down. And I do have him. I like him a lot. And Raphael is just a damage dealer, alien damage dealer. I feel that if this was earlier on in the game, I would have probably picked Raphael, like, you know, maybe a year and a half ago. But I just see the usage of Raphael now dropping a lot. I don't really see him anymore, even though he does do a lot of damage. It's just that there's a lot of damage dealers out there now. Zerfar, if you build him quick and if you can get his accuracy up, he can actually be very effective. I see him a lot in the top sort of arena. And so I'm going to go with Zerfar as the winner in this round. Next, this one's going to be a tough one. We've got Xojin versus Sigil. Xojin, I've shown you a video before. He will be able to deal tons and tons of, he'll inflict tons and tons of burn on you, and he can deal quite a bit of damage as well. Really great against the raid boss as well, because he can just make it really, you know, lose a lot of health, and pairs really well with Lurkar. But he's kind of situational. You're not going to see him in a lot of other fights in PvP, for example, and he generally has really low health because you have to make him really high with accuracy and fast. Whereas Sigil is a hero that is going to be able to give you lots of mana and also give you, you know, cleanse. I think that Sigil is also on my defense team, and I just use her all the time. As much as I love using Xojin, Sigil is going to be the winner in this particular case. And then next we have Sarida versus Jove. Sarida is a hero that is going to be able to cleanse up to 3 negative stats and place a burn on you. And Jove is just going to deal a bunch of damage to a single enemy and places silence on a hero. If I had to pick though, You can place Sarida as a defender and also as an attacker in general. She's going to be really helpful in most situations. Jove as a single damage dealer does work well, does deal relatively good damage, but I feel that when you compare the two, I still feel that Sarida sort of has the edge. So I'm going to give Sarida the win here. All right, and let's keep going here. Let's see. So Jaspur versus Necros. I think that it's not going to be a question. Necros will automatically win in this situation. They both do defense down. Jaspur does have a nice utility for, you know, what is it again? I think it is going to reduce the number of turns through board gesture. But I think Necros has better usage overall and deals more damage. And so I'm going to go with Necros. Next, we have Moroz versus Mobruk. Oh man, the two blue attackers that are both AoE attackers. Moroz will deal more damage to red heroes, but I see Mobruk just completely decimating the entire teams when I see him used. He is going to be low health, so he's going to be a little bit more of a glass cannon. Moroz is going to be difficult to kill. I actually use Moroz in my defense in Arena and have heard good things about it. But I think in general, you're probably going to get more utility out of Mobruk than you will Moroz. So I'm going to go and give him the upper hand, and he will win and move on to the next round. All right, moving right along, we're going to compare Akuma and Fyrre. Now, I did a video on Fyrre, and, you know, her freeze is good. You know, ultimately, it's her freeze that's going to be the best here. But I think that when it comes down to it, if you're using a hero that is going to be an attacker, Akuma is going to probably help you out more often than not. And Akuma can actually you can use Akuma by himself to actually take out heroes in Guild Wars. Okay, so there are a lot of situations where Akuma will simply take out the whole team because he has 9 turns of invincible. And so I think I'm going to give Akuma the upper hand here, even though I do like Fyrre, you know, but we're going to have to say sorry to the Dragon Queen. All right, moving right along, we've got Morena versus Anubis. Anubis is actually a contest hero as well. He will actually cast a lot of curse, and he'll place a lot of negative stats on you. Morena, though, AoE attacker, dispels one, freezes, and then has a chance to cast again. Many people use hers. A lot of people would use a hope set on her, and she can really wreck your entire team if you're not careful. Also on my defense team in Arena, so I'm gonna go with Morena. Next we have Juliet versus Lee. Now they're both yellow hitters, and Juliet is more of a area of effect hitter, and Lee is a single target and can hit you twice. Lee did get recently buffed, right? So he actually has, you know, he deals more damage now. But I think Juliet will have more utility because she will increase the damage of your entire team, and she does deal AoE damage, and she also has, I think, critical chance increase. If I had to pick between the two, it's going to be a close one. I think I'm going to go with Juliet. So Juliet is the winner here. All right, next we have Jin Shui versus Hannya, both from the Far East faction. Jin Shui is the one that is going to deal AoE damage as well, but one of those damages where, you know, it starts strong and then sort of tapers off in the end, and then I think it also deals damage based on missing health, and also I think it inflicts bleed. Hannya will actually place all of your heroes to sleep, and when she goes to sleep, she heals and takes less damage. Between the two, I have never seen Jin Shui unfortunately being used in any defense, or I really haven't been able to find a good usage of him. Whereas Hannya has actually more utility overall, works really well with Zerfar and other blue heroes. I think she takes upper hand in this one. Next one we have Dsyraeen versus Sophia, both red heroes. Dsyraeen, I actually also did another video. I absolutely think he is amazing support. He will be able to dispel up to 6 positive stats with his active stat, and then he will dispel 2 additionals. He can get rid of 8 total positive stats in one shot. and he will place silence on heroes. It is almost unmatchable. Sophia does do a lot of damage, and she was really sought after in the beginning of the, near the beginning of the game, maybe a year and a half to 2 years ago. So I think that I would go with Dsyraeen here. There are a lot of heroes that can do similar things to Sophia, but no one can do what Dsyraeen does. Next one, we got Lancelot versus Cassia. Gosh, so Lancelot is a single damage dealer, but if you can place, if you place Arthur and also Guinevere on the same team, he will gain additional mana and he deals more damage overall, and he could basically get into a mana loop if you're able to kill the entire team. However, I think Lancelot is very situational. Like, you do need to place 2 of the other heroes on the team. He can deal a lot of damage if you can place more positive stats on him. Cassia sort of does her own thing, where she's an area effect attacker, and if she has multiple positive stats, she'll recast it. Can really be difficult for the blue heroes to handle. I think between the two, I'm going to go with Cassia, just because she has less dependencies on the structure of her team. Next, we have, this one is going to be an interesting one. We have Julong versus Mara. So I haven't had a chance to do a video on Mara just yet. She's the latest hero as of this recording that came out, and she's going to do, she's going to give Soul Link to everyone, and in most situations, that actually is not a great idea. So Julong is going to win for me in this case. He's going to dispel and also do a negative, defense down, and it's going to make it harder for you to be able to get mana gain. Julong is the winner for me for sure in this case. Next one, we got Gimbor and Alexander. Now Gimbor is an attacker that deals more damage when they have defense, increased defense. Supposed to be a tank killer, so he does work really well against like Sophia, etc. But you see less of that interaction now. Alexander is a green defender and has ability to heal when you deal damage. I honestly don't use either of these very much anymore, and between the two, I feel that at least Alexander has taunt and can really save your other attackers, and I think Alexander will be the winner for me in this case. All right, we're more than halfway through at this point, so let's keep going. This one is going to be so hard. We have Lurkar, who is one of the best fire red hitters against the green raid boss. Okay, I use him exclusively for the raid boss when you pair him with Xojin. But then Stribog is actually the hero that you're going to want to fusion and use in every single team. I see him in almost all defense teams arena. He is just so critical that he will definitely be the winner in this case. Next, we have Isabelle and Enkanai. I will be honest, I don't think I know very much about Enkanai. I know that he is he's a tank, and depending on who you talk to, some people really like him for his spirit animal, the panda. And let's see, so Enkanai, what he does is he will also remove positive stats from enemies and also provoke on all enemies. So he's kind of like Taurus in that sense, in that he will force everyone to attack him, and he will also heal himself. So he's basically a really good tank. Isabelle was a hero that I sought after for a long time. Will inflict vampirism, but I don't think she's actually that useful. Overall, I think Enkanai will take the win in this case. All right, next we have Nefre and Citare. Nefre is going to revive and also play Soul Link to provide more, protection to your heroes and can heal. Citare deals some damage, but her best asset actually is ability to remove all negative stats, a lot of negative stats on her turn, regardless of whether she's stunned or not. And so she's also very situational. I've seen her used in some situations very effectively, but overall I think the Nefre is going to be better. It's just that she now has a direct counter from Necros, but I still think the Nefre is going to be a better choice here. So let's go with Nefre here. All right, moving right along, we've got Guinevere versus Mrs Claus. Oh, this is a tough one. Guinevere is another fusion hero that, you know, a lot of people will use starting out. She's going to give you a area of effect heal. She's going to be able to take away a negative stat on gemstone match. But Mrs Claus, she will be able to clear, you know, up to 2 negative stats and put increased or decreased defense on you and also decreased accuracy. And if you have Mr. Claus on the team, she's going to freeze you. She is used a lot, and I think that overall, she's going to be a little bit more useful than Guinevere. This is a really close call, but I think I prefer Mrs. Claus. Okay. Next, we have another 2 heroes from the Far East faction. There's a spelling mistake here. Katsuro and Shenshen. Katsuro actually can deal a ton of damage if you can get his attack value up. Shenshen is more of an area of attacker, deals damage, and then can also place bleed on you. If I had to pick between the 2, I generally like AoE attackers, but I feel like I just saw Katsuro do like way more damage overall, and I see him used a lot in high level arena, so we're gonna go with him. Okay, and then let's go with, oh my gosh, look at this pairing here. These 2 are always paired together when you use them in defense or offense. Now they're pit against each other. So you have Zarkon, who's one of the best sort of debuffers, you know, cast decreased defense and a bunch of poison. And then you have Taiko-san, who is going to be able to deal a lot of damage and also stun. Taiko-san was a hero that I really enjoy using, but he's really easy to counter. Whereas Zarkon is one of those heroes that if you don't deal with him early, he's going to wreck your team completely. The number of times I've lost in PvP matches because of Zarkon going off with his skills is just ridiculous. Again, these 2 are really close, but I think Zarkon takes the edge for me. Next, we got Kerrigan and Freya. Kerrigan has a weakness, and that is Odium. But Odium is going to be changed, so I don't think it's going to be as big of a problem. He can present a big issue for you in defense, in that, you know, when he casts Soul Link on everyone, it's just really difficult to deal damage against them. But that's all he does, right? Like, he doesn't really do anything else. Freya can deal a lot of damage, especially after stunning. And she can stun for quite a while, but I don't see Freya used as much. But I think that between Kerrigan and Freya, I still think Freya is going to be more usable in general than Kerrigan, so I'm going to give her the win. Next, we have Arthur versus Arlen. We have both damage dealers. One is purple, one is yellow. Arlen deals 2 types of damage based on max health and also based on attack, whereas Arthur can just dish out a ton of damage in general. Now, Arthur can also get stronger depending on who you have on the team, and as a purple hitter, I think he actually does a little bit better than Arlen. Between the 2, I think I'll go with Arthur. Now we have Eliani versus Arendelle. Eliani deals damage to a single damage. They're both green heroes. This is hilarious. They're all randomized. Okay, so Eliani is I used to use her, but I didn't get a lot of mileage out of her. So she does deal damage, and then she'll provoke on a hero. So the idea is she can tank a lot of hits while dishing hits back. Arendelle is actually interesting though, because the way he works is he's going to balance the health, but the biggest thing about him is he has a huge amount of spell shield. If you get him leveled up, he can get up to I think 9 turns. So that's going to be really helpful. I think Arendelle will actually win for me in this case. Next, we have Xavier versus Durgana. Xavier is going to be able to dispel and also cast curse and deal a lot of damage. Durgana will heal and place attack up. I don't see Durgana used much, whereas Xavier is generally used a lot against the purple boss. I think I'll go with Xavier here. All right, almost at the end. Oh man, we have 2 AoE attackers here. What is going on? These are really close matches. So we have Gabriella, who is just an amazing hitter. If you can get her resistance up, she's going to hit really hard. The problem I see with Gabriella is that she generally has pretty low health. So it's actually pretty easy to take her out because you really only focus on her resistance and not so much on her health and defense. But she can hit like a tank. Claus is another hero that also hits like a tank, and he also generally has very low health. And so in this case, I think that the edge would probably go to Gabriella just because Gabriella is really difficult to land negative stats on because of all her resistance. They're both sort of glass cannons. They both dish a ton of damage, so they're both equal in that sense. Claus is a red hitter, Gabriella is a blue hitter, and I think there is a little bit more edge to Gabriella because of the resistance. Next we have Aurora versus Rapunzel, both blue heroes. Aurora is going to give you spell shield, not spell shield, sort of health shield, HP shield, and also attack up. And if her health is a little bit lower, she's also going to buff you a ton when she activates. Rapunzel does AoE damage and inflicts blind. I tried using her a bunch, and I tried to make her useful, but I just couldn't. Whereas Aurora is just a really good hero to pair against your attackers, so she's going to be the winner for me. And this one is probably going to be an easy one. Dobrinka versus Elgath. Dobrinka is going to give you a immunity at the beginning. And she's going to be able to give you heal and mana breath. Elgath is going to be the attacker that is going to keep attacking until you win. Dobrinka was very useful in the beginning, but I think that there are other heroes. Najar actually does a better job than Dobrinka does. And in terms of usability, I just see that Elgath is going to be the one that you're going to want to use because he's just super strong. Okay. Now we have Leopold versus Cyril. Again, both blue heroes. Leopold is a hero that is going to revive using his health on his with his active skill. And so it can present a problem when he's paired up against with Nefre, for example, and it used to be one of the strongest pairings. Lots of people would get Leopold and upgrade him and put him into a war defense with Nefre because it is such a challenge to get through. However, he is super hard countered by Necros. As soon as you have Necros on the team, he is completely useless. Whereas Cyril can deal damage and he can also counter Akuma really well. In this case, I'm going to go with Cyril. He's the type that is going to deal damage potentially twice to a single hitter, to a single enemy, and then he can also remove, and that's a guaranteed removal of positive stats. And so Cyril's going to be better in most situations here. And then there's me, TBone versus Perun. So Perun is a hero that I also really enjoyed. And he is an AoE attacker that will stun as well as place 1 stack of burn on you. The problem I've had with Perun has always been the glass cannon aspect of him. He's really easy to take out as well, but he has been useful in Arena. TBone as a character, he is the type to, do negative stats. He'll do defense down and also vulnerability, and he's also going to provide additional attack just from his passive ability, and he's going to be able to dispel an enemy's positive stat and also and then cleanse one of the negative stats on the hero. I think Perun has, for the most part, been replaced by a lot of other heroes. Actually, I've stopped using Perun in favor of Elgath or even Taiko-san, even though he got knocked out early. Whereas I can use TBone in almost all of my raid boss fights. And plus, he's my character, so I'm going to pick him. But I actually do think that TBone has a little bit of an edge on this one. Now we have Helica versus Gladiosa. This is really interesting how this just kind of worked out, because this is randomized and we have two purple heroes here. Helica is a healer that's going to heal a single enemy, a single ally, and also give mana. Gladiosa is going to give you a ton of bleed on a single enemy and also silence you. I think that Helica in general is going to be much more useful in a lot of situations, just because she can heal and also provide the immunity. And when you pair Helica with a hitter, it makes the hitter really hard to kill. Gladiosa will be very useful as, you know, a hitter that can also silence heroes. But I think there are other heroes now that can silence as well, but not as much healers. This is really tough. I think this could go either way, but I'm going to go with Helica. Next, we have Esmeralda versus Kirioko. I haven't done a video on Esmeralda, but I did do on Kirioko. Kirioko is good in, you know, generating a lot of Assassin's Mark. She'll hit, you know, and potentially land up to 3, and then she'll potentially has a chance to hit again, and once more has a chance to land up to 3. So you can land a total of 6 Assassin's Mark. And she can also, you know, match 4 times, and she can generally do a lot of damage on her gem match. But Esmeralda can, you know, generate mana and also increase the critical damage of all your heroes. And I think between the two, Kirioko is a little bit more situational, a little bit harder to keep alive. Esmeralda is going to be the hero that's going to be more effective and helpful for your team. So I'm going to go with Esmeralda. All right, now we're on to our last match, and this is going to be Raven versus Geshen. Again, blue heroes. This is really interesting. Raven is going to start with, you know, she starts with Spell Shield. So she's already very effective as, you know, somebody who is going to be defending or attacking in PvP. Heals and also has really good resistance. Geshen will be able to, you know, cast Assassin's Mark, and I think also probably cleanse, one of the passive stats. I've seen him used before, although he is almost kind of like a alternative, if you will. Like if you don't have some other heroes and you're kind of running out of options, then you use Geshen. Whereas Raven I saw used quite often in high level arena because she's really, really useful. So we're gonna go to Raven. And here we have the second round now. So we went from 32 to top 16. All right. And so let's see, we can now see who the top 16 are going to be, or I guess top 32. Oh, we don't have that. We have to go to third round. I see. So we will just take a look here. We will move on to the next round afterwards. And hopefully you've enjoyed this. I know it's a sort of a long video. I did end up talking through all of the heroes, but the intent is to understand how they work and to give you a viewpoint into why I chose the heroes that won. Anyways, that's going to be it for me for this video. Stay tuned for the second round of the series. We're going to keep going until we find a winner. Feel free to comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you what you thought about this, and who would you like to see win the bracket. And let's keep the conversation going. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now.